Welcome to My Thailand Stories. This one's different because Lee wasn't naive. He knew exactly what the bar scene was, knew it was transactional, knew Kanya worked the bar. He wasn't some romantic looking for love. He was a regular who loved cheap beer, the attention, and feeling like somebody. That's what made it safe. No illusions, just fun. Until Kanya said she wanted out of bar life. Found a coffee shop for sale. Tourist area. Good location. She could run it. They could run it together. He'd still have his bar scene. She'd have her business. Everyone wins. If you've ever thought understanding the game meant you couldn't get played, this will change your mind. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. Here's Lee. I sat in a Pattaya bar at 11 in the morning drinking my third chang, watching Kanya serve drinks to 3 other blokes, and it hit me. My name's Lee. I'm 55 years old. I was a warehouse supervisor in Crawley for 23 years. Divorced in 2018, 2 kids. Both grown. They live with their mum. I see them maybe twice a year. Birthdays, Christmas if I'm lucky. The divorce wasn't messy. We just stopped liking each other. Happens. After the split, I had nothing keeping me in Crawley. Work, the pub. That was it. My mate Gary kept going on about Thailand. Said he went twice a year. Said it was cheap. Said the beer was £1. Said the women were friendly. Said I should go. Stop moping about. Live a bit. So in January 2023, I booked 2 weeks in Pattaya. Figured why not? See what all the fuss was about. I landed on a Tuesday. Got a taxi to Walking Street. Checked into a cheap hotel. Nothing fancy, just needed somewhere to sleep. Then I went out. Hit the first bar I saw. And mate, it was exactly what Gary said. Beer was 30 baht. About 70 pence. Cold. The music was loud. The girls were friendly. Really friendly. Chatting. Laughing. Sitting with you. Making you feel like you mattered. I'm not daft. I knew what it was. I knew they worked there. I knew they got a cut when you bought them drinks. I knew the score, but bloody hell, it felt good. After 2 years of sitting in a Crawley pub with the same miserable blokes talking about the same miserable things, this was brilliant. I felt like a king. I went back every night. Same bar. Started recognising the girls. They started recognising me. Remembered my name. Asked how my day was. Brought me drinks without me asking. It was nice. Easy. No expectations. Just fun. That's where I met Kanya. She worked the bar most nights. Maybe 32 years old. Not the youngest, not the prettiest, but she had this way about her, relaxed. Funny. Didn't push. Didn't hassle. Just chatted. Made you laugh. She'd sit with me between customers. We'd talk about nothing. About everything. About England. About Thailand. About how mad it was that beer cost more than rent back home. I asked her how long she'd been working there. She said 5 years since she came from a Sayan, her family's village. Said she sent money home every month. Her mother. Her daughter. She had a daughter. 8 years old. Living with her mum up north. She came to Pattaya to make money. To give her kid a better life. Fair enough. Respect. I went back to Crawley after 2 weeks. But I kept thinking about it. About Pattaya. About the bar. About how easy it was. How cheap it was. How good it felt. So 3 months later, in April, I went back. Booked a month this time. Kanya was still there. She remembered me, said, "Lee, you come back." Big smile. Sat with me that first night. We picked up like I'd never left. Easy. Comfortable. She asked about England. I told her it was cold. Grey. Boring. She laughed. Said Thailand better. Over that month, we spent a lot of time together. She'd finish her shift. We'd go get food. Late night noodles. Cheap places the tourists don't go. She'd take me to the market in the morning. Help me buy clothes. Not the prices down. She was good at that. Made me laugh. Made me feel like I had a mate. Not just a bar girl. A mate. I'm not stupid. I know how it works. I paid her bar fine a few times. We go back to my hotel. It was transactional. I knew that. She knew that. But it was more than that too. We got on. Really got on. She wasn't just pretending. Or maybe she was. But it felt real enough. At the end of that month, I didn't want to leave. I sat in the airport thinking about going back to Crawley. Back to the warehouse. Back to the same grey life. And I thought, sod it. I'm 55 years old. I've got a pension coming in 2 years. I've got some savings. Why am I living in Crawley when I could be living here? So I started coming back every 2 months. Stayed longer each time. 6 weeks. 2 months. By November 2023, I was spending more time in Pattaya than in England, and I loved it. Loved the bar. Loved the scene. Loved walking down Walking Street at night with a beer in my hand, feeling like I was 25 again. Kanya and I had this thing. I knew she saw other customers. I wasn't naive, but when I was there, I was her bloke. We had our routine. I'd show up at the bar around 7. She'd bring me a chang. We'd chat. I'd pay her bar fine around 10. We'd go get food, go back to my hotel. In the morning, she'd go home. I'd go to the beach, meet my mates, other expats, blokes like me, divorced, retired, living the dream on cheap beer and cheaper rent. One night in December, we were sitting at a beach bar, just the two of us. She was quiet. I asked what was wrong. She said she was tired. Tired of the bar, tired of working nights, tired of customers. She said she wanted out, wanted a normal job, normal life. But she didn't know how. I said, what would you do if you could? She said she'd always wanted a coffee shop, small one, near the beach, somewhere tourists go. She could make coffee, sell snacks, be her own boss. She said she'd been saving, but it wasn't enough. She needed maybe 200,000 baht for the deposit on a shop, about 5 grand. But she'd never get there, not working the bar, not sending money home to her mum and her kid. I said I could help. She said no. No, Lee, that's too much. I said it's not too much. It's an investment. You run the coffee shop. You make money. You pay me back. Everyone wins. She said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. Why not? What else am I spending my money on? She cried. Said I was too good to her. Said she didn't deserve me. I said, shut up and drink your beer. 2 days later, she showed me the shop. Little place near Beach Road. Good location. Lots of foot traffic. It was empty, needed work, but it had potential. The rent was reasonable. 15,000 baht a month. About 300 quid. The landlord wanted 6 months up front plus deposit. That's where the 200,000 came in. I looked around, it seemed legit. Small kitchen, space for tables, big windows, good visibility. I said, all right, let's do it. She said, really? I said, yeah, really. Let's get you out of that bloody bar. I transferred the money the next day. 200,000 baht. About 4,800 quid. She said she'd get the keys next week. Start cleaning it up. Get equipment. She was buzzing. Excited. I felt good. I felt like I was helping someone. Like I was doing something useful. Not just drinking beer and chasing bar girls. I was helping Kanya build a life. Over the next month, she kept me updated. Sent photos of the shop. Cleaning it. Painting the walls. She said she needed money for equipment. Coffee machine. Fridge. Tables, chairs. I sent another 80,000 baht. About 2 grand. She said thank you. Said she couldn't do this without me. I said that's what mates do. In January 2024, she said the shop was almost ready. Just needed a proper coffee machine. The good one, the one that makes proper espresso, cost 50,000 baht. About 1,200 quid. I sent it. She said the shop would open next week. I said brilliant. I'll be there for the opening. But then she said there was a problem. The landlord wanted more money. Said the electric needed updating. Health and safety. Another 100,000 baht. About 2,400 quid. Or he'd cancel the lease. She was panicking. Said she'd lose everything. All the money I'd sent. All the work she'd done. I said, calm down. I'll send it. She said, are you sure? I said, yeah. We've come this far. Might as well finish it. I sent the money. At this point, I'd put in 430,000 baht. About 10 grand. But the shop was nearly ready. Nearly open. And once it opened, she'd make money. She'd be out of the bar, we'd be partners. I'd have somewhere to hang out during the day. Somewhere that wasn't a bar. Somewhere normal. Then in February, she said the coffee machine broke. The expensive one I'd bought. Needed replacing. Another 50,000 baht. I hesitated. That was another 1,200 quid. I said, can't we get it fixed? She said she tried. It's beyond repair. Needs a proper one. Thai quality. I said, all right, sent the money. Then she needed money for licenses, business registration, food permits. All the official stuff. Another 60,000 baht. About 1,500 quid. I sent it. Then she needed money for stock. Coffee beans, milk, sugar, snacks. Another 40,000 baht. About 1,000 quid. I sent it. By March, I'd sent her 640,000 baht, about 15 grand. The shop still wasn't open. Every week there was another problem. Another expense. Another reason why it wasn't ready yet. My mates at the bar were taking the piss. Said I was being mugged off. Said Kanya was playing me. I said, you don't know her like I do. You don't understand. This is real. The shop is real. I've seen it. I've seen the photos. This isn't some scam. This is a business. But then in April, I showed up at the bar, unannounced. I told Kanya I was coming next month, but I booked an early flight. Wanted to surprise her. Wanted to see the shop. See how it was coming along. I walked into the bar at 6 in the evening. Kanya was there, serving drinks. She saw me. Her face went white. I said, surprise. She said, Lee, what are you doing here? I said, I wanted to see you. See the shop. She said, the shop's not ready yet. I said, that's all right. I just want to see it. See the progress. She said, now's not a good time. I said, why not? She said, she's busy. Working. I said, I'll wait. She looked nervous. Really nervous. Then I saw him. Another bloke. Western. Maybe 60. Sitting at the bar. Kanya's phone was next to him. She reached for it. He picked it up. Smiled at her. Said something in her ear. She laughed. That laugh. The same laugh she gave me. I sat down. Ordered a beer. Watched. Watched Kanya work. Watched her with him. Watched her with 2 other blokes. Watched her do the exact same thing she did with me. Same smile. Same laugh. Same touch on the arm. Same everything. And that's when I knew. I'd been played. Properly played. I stayed at the bar, didn't leave. Just sat there drinking chang and watching. Watching Kanya work the room. She kept glancing at me. Nervous, but she couldn't just stop working. She had customers. She had a job to do. The bloke I'd seen her with earlier left around 8. Paid his bill. Kissed her cheek. She smiled, waved goodbye. Then she came over to me. Lee, why you not tell me you coming? Wanted to surprise you. I'm working. You should have told me. Yeah, I can see you're working. She sat down, looked at me. You angry? Should I be? Lee, you know what I do. You know I work here. You know I see customers. Yeah, I know, but I thought we had something different. We do. You're special. You help me with the shop. You're my friend. Your friend? Yes, my friend, good friend. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to think she was different with me. But watching her with that bloke, watching her laugh the same laugh, touch his arm the same way, it was exactly the same. I wasn't special. I was just another customer with a bank account. I said, when's the shop opening? She looked away. Soon, maybe next month. You said that last month. I know, but there's problems. Always problems. What problems now? She sighed. Said the air conditioning needed installing. Health inspector said it was required. Another 70,000 baht. About 1,700 quid. Without it, she couldn't get the license. Without the license, she couldn't open. I said, Kanya, I've given you 15 grand. When does it stop? She looked hurt. Said, you think I'm lying? You think I'm taking your money for nothing? Lee, I show you the shop. I show you everything. It's real. Then show me now. Let's go. Right now. Let's go see the shop. She said she couldn't. She had to work. Her shift didn't end until midnight. I said, fine, I'll wait. She said, no. Go back to your hotel. We'll go tomorrow. I'll take you. Show you everything. I promise. I didn't believe her, but I was tired, jet-lagged, 3 changs in. I said, all right. Tomorrow. She said, yes. Tomorrow. She kissed my cheek and went back to work. I left the bar, walked down Walking Street, past the bars, the girls calling out, the music, the chaos. I used to love it. Used to feel alive here. Now it just felt hollow, like I'd been living in a fantasy, and the fantasy was cracking. The next morning, Kanya met me at my hotel. She was all smiles, said, let's go see the shop. I said, all right. We got a motorbike taxi, drove to Beach Road. She pointed at a shop front, said, there, that's it. I looked at it. Small place. Windows covered with newspaper. Looked closed, looked abandoned. I said, let's go inside. She said she didn't have the key. Landlord has it. I said, why doesn't she have the key? She said, because she hasn't paid this month's rent yet. I said, I thought I paid 6 months up front. She said, yes, but that was 6 months ago. Now she needs to pay again. I said, hang on. We started this in December. It's only April. That's 4 months. She said, yes, but she paid extra months to secure it, to make sure no one else took it. I said, that doesn't make sense. She said, it's Thailand. It's how it works here. I walked up to the window, looked through the newspaper. It was empty inside, completely empty. No equipment, no coffee machine, no tables, no chairs, nothing. Just an empty shop. I said, "Where's all the stuff?" "The stuff I paid for." She said, "It's in storage. Can't leave it in the shop. Someone might break in." I said, "Show me the storage." She said, "It's far. Out of town. We'd need to rent a car." I said, "Fine. Let's rent a car." She said, "Maybe tomorrow." Today she has to work. I stood there on Beach Road staring at this empty shop. This shop I'd put £15,000 into. And it was empty. Just a shell. Nothing inside. Nothing to show for all that money except newspaper-covered windows. And Kanya's promises. I said I want to see the receipts. The equipment receipts. The license applications. All of it. She said they're at her apartment. I said, "Let's go get them." She said she can't. Her roommate's sleeping. She works nights. Can't disturb her. I said, "When then? When can I see them?" She said, "Later. Maybe tonight. After her shift." I knew she was stalling. Knew she didn't have receipts. Knew there was no equipment in storage. Knew the whole thing was bollocks. But I still wanted to believe. Still wanted to think there was some explanation. Some reason why it looked so bad, but wasn't really. I went back to my hotel, sat on the bed, opened my banking app, went through every transfer to Kanya. Not just the shop stuff. Everything. Bar fines. I'd been paying her bar fine 3-4 times a week when I was in Pattaya. 2,000 baht each time. About 50 quid. Over the last year, that was another £5,000. Emergency money. Her mum got sick in February. I sent 30,000 baht. About 700 quid. Her daughter needed school fees in March. I sent 20,000 baht. About 500 quid. Her brother had a motorbike accident in January. I sent 40,000 baht. About 1,000 quid. Gifts. Her birthday. New phone. Clothes. Gold bracelet. Another £2,000 over the year. I added it up. The shop money. The bar fines, the emergencies, the gifts. Total. £25,600. 25 grand. And I still wasn't done. Because she'd asked for that air conditioning money yesterday. And I knew she'd ask for more, and I knew I'd probably send it. Because that's what I did. That's what mugs like me do. I called my mate, Gary, the one who'd told me about Thailand in the first place. Told him everything. He went quiet. Then he said, "Mate, you know what this is, right?" I said, "She's not scamming me. The shop's real, I've seen it." He said, "You've seen an empty shop with newspaper on the windows. That's not a business. That's a shop front. She's probably paying 2,000 baht a month to keep you hooked." I said, "You don't know her like I do." He said, "Lee, listen to yourself. You sound like every other mug who comes here and falls for a bar girl. You're not special. You're not different. You're just a current bloke with money. And when you stop sending, she'll move on to the next one." I wanted to tell him he was wrong. Wanted to tell him Kanya was different. That we had something real, but I couldn't. Because deep down I knew he was right. I'd known it for months. I just didn't want to admit it. That night, I went back to the bar. Sat in my usual spot. Kanya came over, smiled. Asked if I wanted a drink. I said, "Yeah." Chang. She brought it. Sat next to me, said, "You okay? You seem quiet." I said, "I've been thinking about the shop." She said, "Lee, please don't worry. It'll be ready soon, I promise." I said, "How many other blokes are you doing this to?" Her face changed. "What you mean? How many other customers are you telling the same story? How many other blokes think they're special? Think they're helping you build a life?" She stood up. "Lee, you're drunk. You don't know what you're saying." "I'm not drunk, I'm just finally paying attention." She walked away. Served other customers. Ignored me. I sat there for another hour. Watched her work. Watched her sit with an older German bloke. Watched her laugh. Watched her touch his arm. Watched him pay her bar fine. Watched them leave together. I finished my beer. Paid. Left. The next day, I did something I should have done months ago. I asked the other expats, the regulars, the blokes who'd been in Pattaya for years. Asked if they knew Kanya. One bloke, Dave, Australian, said, yeah, he knew her. Said she'd tried the same coffee shop scam on him 2 years ago. He'd sent her a few £1,000 before he wised up. Said she's been working that bar for 7 years. Said she's got 3 or 4 regulars at any time. All sending money. all thinking they're special. Another bloke, Stefan, German, said his mate had funded Kanya's clothing shop last year. Sent her £8,000. Shop never opened. She blamed the landlord, blamed the licenses, blamed Thailand. Same story, different business. I felt sick. Actually sick. I'd sent her 25 grand, and I wasn't even the first. I wasn't even the only current one. I was just one of several blokes she was milking at the same time. I went back to the bar that night, waited for Kanya's shift to start. When she arrived, I said, "We need to talk." She said, "Not now." "She's working." I said, "Now." "Outside." She looked annoyed but came outside. I said, "I talked to Dave and Stefan's mate. I know about the clothing shop. I know about the other blokes. I know this isn't the first time you've run this scam." She looked at me. Cold now. No more smiles. No more friendly Kanya. She said, "So, you know what I am, you always knew. You think bar girls don't have boyfriends. You think we don't need money. You think this is real. Lee, come on, you're not stupid. I thought we were mates." "We are mates. Good mates. You help me. I make you happy. That's how it works. I gave you £25,000. And you had fun, didn't you? You had company. You had sex. You felt like big man. That's worth something." She wasn't even pretending anymore. No apologies, no excuses, just cold facts. This is the game. This is how it works. Don't be naive. I said, "The shop. Does it even exist?" She shrugged. "There's a shop. But it's not mine. I rent it month to month. Show it to boyfriends. Take photos. Keep the story going. You want to see receipts? I can make receipts. You want to see equipment? I can show you photos of equipment. It's not hard, Lee. You just have to want to believe." And you did. You wanted it so bad. I stood there, speechless. She just admitted everything. Admitted it was all fake. And she didn't even care. Didn't care that I'd sent her 25 grand. Didn't care that I'd believed her. Didn't care that I'd thought we had something real. She said, "You want the truth? You're boyfriend number 3 right now. There's a British bloke sending me money for a salon. American bloke sending money for a restaurant. And you with your coffee shop. You all think you're special. You all think you're helping me build a life. But really, you're just paying my rent and my daughter's school and keeping me comfortable. That's it. That's all it ever was." I said, "Why are you telling me this?" She said, "Because you figured it out. No point pretending anymore. You want your money back. Good luck. It's gone, spent. You want to go to the police? Go ahead, they don't care. This is Pattaya. This is what happens. You knew the game when you walked into that bar. You just thought you were different. You're not." She went back inside. Left me standing there. And that was it. That was the end. No big confrontation, no drama. Just cold facts and the truth I'd been avoiding for a year. I flew back to England the next day. Didn't say goodbye to Kanya. Didn't go back to the bar. Just packed my bag and left. But here's the thing. Here's the part that makes me feel like the biggest idiot on the planet. 2 months later, she messaged me online. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't mean what she said. Said she was angry. Said the shop was real. Said she needed another 20,000 baht to finally get it open. Said this was the last time. Said after this, we'd be partners. We'd make money together. And I almost sent it. I had the banking app open. Had the amount typed in. Finger hovering over the send button. Because part of me still wanted to believe. Still wanted to think it was real. Still wanted to think I hadn't just wasted 25 grand on nothing. But I didn't. I closed the app. Blocked her number. Blocked her online, and I haven't been back to Thailand since. I went through my bank statements one more time when I got back to Crawley. Had to know the exact damage. Had to see it all in black and white. Total, £27,000. 27 grand to a bar girl who was running the same scam on at least 2 other blokes at the same time. For a coffee shop that never existed. For a relationship that was never real. I didn't go to the police. What was the point? I'd sent the money willingly. She didn't force me. She didn't threaten me. She just told me a story and I wanted to believe it. That's not illegal. That's just stupid. I didn't tell my kids. Too embarrassed. They already thought I was having a midlife crisis going to Thailand all the time. If they knew I'd sent 27 grand to a bar girl for a fake business, they'd think I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. I told Gary. He didn't say I told you so. Just said it happens to a lot of blokes. Said he knew 3 other guys who'd lost similar amounts to similar scams. Bar girls with sick mothers. Bar girls who wanted to open salons. Bar girls who needed help with their daughter's education. All the same playbook, all the same ending. The thing is, I knew what it was. That's what kills me. I wasn't some naive romantic who thought a bar girl fell in love with me. I knew she worked there. I knew it was transactional. I knew the score from day one. But knowing the game doesn't mean you can't get played. It just means you think you can't. And that's when they get you. I thought because I understood how it worked, I was safe. I thought because I wasn't falling in love, I wasn't vulnerable. I thought because I was paying for bar fines and company and fun, I was in control. But I wasn't. The second I started believing the coffee shop was real, the second I started thinking I was helping her build a life, I stopped being the customer and became the mark. And she knew. She knew exactly when to switch, knew exactly when to go from bar girl I pay to woman I'm helping, knew exactly how to make me feel like I was doing something good, something meaningful, not just buying company, but actually making a difference. That's the real scam. Not the coffee shop, not the fake receipts, not even the empty shop with newspaper on the windows. The real scam is making you feel like you matter, like you're special, like you're not just another customer but someone who's changing her life. That's what you pay for. That's what keeps you sending money, even when the red flags are waving right in front of your face. I'm back in Crawley now, back at the warehouse, back to the same grey life I was trying to escape. Except now, I'm 27 grand poorer and a whole lot wiser about what knowing the score actually means. I haven't been back to Thailand. Don't think I will. Not because I'm angry at Thailand. Thailand didn't scam me. Kanya scammed me. But I don't trust myself anymore. Don't trust that I won't walk into another bar, meet another girl, and convince myself that this time it's different. This time I really am special. This time the business is real. Because that's what blokes like me do. We go to places like Pattaya because we want to feel like kings. We want the attention, the company, the illusion that we matter. And we pay for it. Sometimes with bar fines, sometimes with gifts, and sometimes with £27,000 for a coffee shop that never existed. My mates at the pub ask me about Thailand sometimes. Ask if I'm going back. I say no. They ask why not. I say it got expensive. They laugh. Think I mean the beer prices went up. I let them think that. Easier than explaining I funded a fake business for a bar girl who was running the same con on 3 blokes at once. I still think about Kanya sometimes. Wonder if she's still at that bar, still telling the coffee shop story, still showing blokes the empty shop on Beach Road, still making them feel special. Probably. Why would she stop? It works. It works on me. It worked on Dave. It worked on Stefan's mate. It'll work on the next bloke who walks in thinking he understands the game. I learned something, though. Learned that being self-aware doesn't protect you. Understanding how scams work doesn't make you immune. Knowing she's a bar girl doesn't mean she can't take you for 27 grand. All it means is you'll feel like an even bigger idiot when you realise you knew better and did it anyway. The bar scene in Pattaya is real. The cheap beer is real. The attention is real. The feeling like you matter is real. But that's all it is. A feeling. And feelings cost money. Sometimes they cost £27,000. I don't regret going to Thailand. I don't regret the bar scene. I don't even regret meeting Kanya. I regret thinking I was different. Thinking I was smarter than the other blokes who fell for it. Thinking because I knew the score, I couldn't be played. Turns out knowing the score just means you know what's happening while it's happening. Doesn't mean you can stop it. That's my story. £27,000 to a bar girl who told me she wanted to open a coffee shop. I knew what she was. I knew what I was paying for. I thought that made me safe. It didn't. It just made me a self-aware mug instead of a naive one. And the money still spent the same. And that was Lee's story. A warehouse supervisor from Crawley who loved the Pattaya bar scene, who knew exactly what it was, who thought understanding the game meant he couldn't get played. He sent £27,000 for a coffee shop that never existed, while Kanya ran the same scam on 2 other blokes at the same time. Lee's not naive. He's not a romantic. He's just a bloke who learned that knowing the score doesn't mean you can't lose. He's back in Crawley now, back at the warehouse, and he hasn't been back to Thailand since. Have you ever thought understanding the game meant you couldn't get played? Let us know in the comments. And if you've got a story from Thailand, we want to hear it. This is my Thailand stories. Stay safe out there.